Folks, welcome to the show today. It is Friday for the right side of campus, and if you can see behind me right now, we have some nice, cool digital effects to carry us through baseball season. Once again, it is Friday at SBR Sports Picks. We're going to come to the show. I'm really refreshed after having a complete day off from media yesterday, ready to get down to some business today in Major League Baseball. I'll be your host today, Donnie RightSide, along with my co-host here, the one, the only, at Jeff Nadu on Twitter, the big man on campus. Big man, what's going on today, brother?
What's happening? A little late today. My apologies. Sometimes with Google Hangouts, we have it doesn't let me log in. I don't know why. It says forbidden or something. I don't know. I've had a pretty poor day to open my day. So hopefully that I'm sure it'll continue because I can't seem to hit anything in baseball. So or anything for that matter. So.
Long summer, big man, as we like to see. A lot of interesting stuff today. I know it's mainly going to be faced on a baseball card. Big man, do you want to start off by going with maybe what you saw yesterday a little bit before we dip into today's afternoon action?
Yeah. As far as yesterday was concerned, I mean, nothing really. I mean, a lot of rainouts and postponement, that kind of thing. So you've seen that a lot, and we see that in April. A lot of the time, you're going to see early with the weather. I mean, I know it's very cold in certain places, but not particularly. I mean, the Dodgers continue to kind of batter, and look, the Padres are a team that I might try to just bet against every night, really. I mean, whether it's the money line or run line, it might be something I try, just because they're just so inept. I mean, early on, they just look so overpowered. Toronto with a nice win, 5-2, and Seattle got a win finally. How about that? And how about Arizona? They win a series against San Francisco. Going into last night, San Francisco had won 15 of 19 in Chase Field. So very nice output from Arizona. And I told you, and I'm going to keep telling you, this Arizona team is going to win games this year. They had a tough season last year, a lot of injuries, a lot of guys that just didn't have good years with Shelby Miller and Greinke. Pollock is an OBP machine. I like them a lot. I'm not going to be, the guy to say it, but I think they fly over their win total.
Yeah, and just looking at that game on its whole out west in the NL West there, same story from last year, big man. San Francisco Giants really struggling in the bullpen. Doesn't matter if Bochy goes to 100 different pitchers like he tends to like to do. Whatever the buttons they're pushing right now, certainly not working. Another interesting thing from yesterday, nice comeback from Matt Harvey, albeit against a minor league type ball club in Atlanta, but a nice opening start for him. Big game, James Shield comes up big versus Detroit yesterday. So a lot of things factor in, but we'll dip into the baseball card today. And my initial thoughts on going over this card, Jeff, just taking a look at the starting pitching. What happened in Major League Baseball to quality starting pitching, big man?
Yeah, and that's kind of what we've talked about time and time again. We talked about on the roundtable, just the lack of good pitching, and you really just don't have it anymore. And that's why you continue to see some of these guys. I mean, you look at and I'm not trying to be out of line or anything, but the Phillies are throwing out Vincent Velasquez as their starter for their opening day, which, I remember growing up, it was like a storied thing to be the home opener pitcher for for whatever team you pitch for. I mean, you look at the Rockies are throwing out some rookie. I mean, 3 games into the season. I mean, it just goes to show. I mean, some of these pitching matchups are just terrible. I mean, I don't even know anymore. I mean, are there literally how many good pitchers are there in baseball? Maybe 10.
Yeah, I mean, we're 3 games in, and you're getting, just going over and capping some of these games just to getting some dug-in information on some of the starting pitchers. It's literally a skeleton crew. If you just go back, I know it's hard to look at, 2016 stats, 2017 preseason type baseball there in spring training, but, outside of Max Scherzer today, it's just a mixed match of Tommy John surgeries, of rookies, of, career guys that just get batted around. It's going to be an interesting one, almost like a minefield. And then you're going to throw in some weather conditions and your first start of the year. Just an interesting slate to go over.
I will say come up here at 1:00, which we'll kind of start out here with. I do kind of think Red Sox Tigers is intriguing. I mean, Michael Fulmer and Stephen Wright both had really good years last year. obviously, two teams that can hit the baseball. You wonder. It's always interesting watching a team face the knuckleball. The Tigers don't face a knuckleball very often, and it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But as far as like early on, it is very tough to gauge. I mean, you look at Detroit. I mean, first 4 games or first 2 games, I'm sorry, only hitting 161. I mean, it didn't look particularly good in that game yesterday. And I know in the game before against who was it? Quintana, I think it was the first game where I actually mentioned I like the White Sox. If you look at that game, I mean, that was just one of those games where the Tigers it seemed like every time they had a runner on base, they knocked them in. And that's not something you're going to be able to keep going. I don't know. This is a tough game. I mean, Boston, I'm not a particularly big fan of on the road. I like them in Fenway, sure, and I don't really like to bet against Detroit in day games. I know I did it the other day, but I don't know. Again, another situation where we need to see these starters before we make a decision.
Yeah, I mean, taking a look at the game overall with Boston and Detroit, you're looking at a temperature at game time, big man. It's going to be around 36 degrees throughout the day that they're going to be playing. It's not even going to get into the 40s. Another interesting thing, wind blowing out directly to center field at 21 miles an hour. If you look at both of these lineups, you have the usual suspects. The one thing you'll notice, Jeff, is Boston a little bit shorthanded today, going with Brock Holt, Pedroia, Benintendi, Moreland, Young, Bradley, Leone, Sandoval, and Hernandez. So not that normal power-packed lineup that you're used to getting over the last couple of years. Detroit, first 5 is still going to outslug you. Kinsler, Castellanos, Cabrera, Martinez, and Upton there. And then a couple, Jacoby Jones is thrown in there, not your wide receiver from the Baltimore Ravens, which I know one of the announcers got caught up in there. But an interesting caveat in this one, you do have Stephen Wright, the knuckleballer, who, as you said, was really good last year. The one thing a knuckleballer does like to see is a wind coming into his face, meaning that the wind is blowing out, the opposite of what a pitcher usually wants to see, because that ball is going to get a little bit more action fluttering in the wind. So that's another thing. Capping throughout the season, Jeff, I don't know if you're the same as me or the same thing. I tend to stay away from the knuckleball pitchers, the R.A. Dickies, the Stephen Wrights, back in the day, the Wakefields, because when their knuckleball is on, they can be Cy Young Award-ish, if that's a word. But when their knuckleball is off, you can really hit them around. I do tend to stay away from these games when putting my money on it.
Yeah, there's just too many variables. I mean, obviously you mentioned the light lineup. Anytime I see Chris Young in a lineup, I normally look elsewhere. A situation in this game where I wouldn't be surprised to see a 2-1 game. I wouldn't be surprised to see a 6-5 game. There's too many. It's very tough to cap a knuckleballer. I mean, you look at like a R.A. Dickey who was scheduled to pitch today. The knuckleball is not particularly effective in cold weather. I don't know how we can really say that. I got to tell you, Donnie, I kind of like the Tigers in this game, to be honest. I think Fulmer, I feel a little bit more safe with him. Again, I don't really like the lineup for the Red Sox today. I mean, like I said, Marco Hernandez isn't exactly a fire guy on the base pass. I mean, I don't, there's some power, sure, but again, I like Betts, Bogarts, those kind of guys in the lineup. For me, I kind of like the Tigers, but again, a lot of the picks that I give on these shows, as we've said before, I'm just breaking them down for the sake of breaking them down. I'm not really interested in this game, but if I had to play it, I think the Tigers will win this game.
Yeah, also you're getting a light line. If you check out SBRodds.com, just looking at across the board here, Pinnacle at minus 118, 5 dimes down to 115. Looks like Sportsbook.com at minus 118. Total in this one bouncing around a little bit, big man. 8 is what it opened up as. Looks like it's hanging around 8 in some places, but mostly hanging in 8.5. And I can see that. Whenever you see the wind blowing out, you figure two, even when the public's going to take a look at these two teams, two perennial hitting teams, even though they're a little bit light in their lineups today. So it should be an interesting one to see how that wind really plays into it blowing out there. And we should have a good go of that one. Let's get into the second game of the day, which actually technically is the first start of the day. Atlanta's going to throw out Mike Foltynewicz versus Ivan Nova for Pittsburgh. Last year, big man Nova with 11 starts with the Pirates, 3.06 ERA. So he came on really well coming down the stretch and coming over for the trade. Foltynewicz, just your young guy, hard fastball last year, 4.92 ERA. over his career, 4.31 last year. So, not too bad of a pitcher, not gas can-ish, but not really looking at too much. In Atlanta, we all know, Jeff, rebuilding team, light pop hitting squad going into Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's going to look to bounce back after that weekend or that week series in Boston this week. Any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, look, I mean, you look at Nova, who, with the Yankees, he was just a fairly middle-of-the-road guy. But you look at when he went to the Pirates last year, 6 starts in PNC Park, 3 complete games, a 2.45 ERA. Listen, the problem I have here is I just don't really want to lay 145 with the Pirates. I mean, this team has been awful at the plate so far. I mean, again, I know it's only 2 games. Again, I know they're playing the Red Sox, and Chris Sale's a tough matchup in any length of imagination. You know what, Donnie? If I had to play this one, which, again, I've made it clear how much I don't like opening and playing early games in any sport, I got to tell you, I kind of like the Pirates in the run line here. I have a weird feeling they're going to put some runs up today. Fulton Avit's a good pitcher. He, good fastball. A nice player for Atlanta. But again, he's had his struggles as well. We know they're not a particularly good bullpen for the most part. You look at in this 10 innings that they pitched, 8 runs, 7 walks. I mean, if Fulton Avits is a guy that, again, like maybe, first 2 innings shows 40 pitches or something, 45, he's not going to go very deep. I don't think he's particularly good in any rate. I kind of like the Pirates. I think they kind of show out today, and I think Nova has another continued nice game in PNC.
Sort of on that same wavelength with you. The wind today is blowing out again. Another deep one, almost 20 miles an hour to dead center field. The one problem you're going to have in this game is, can these pitchers actually get loosened up? The real field temperature here, big man, is 28 degrees at the time of first pitch. So certainly one of the colder games you're going to have this year. Just on the lookout. Chance of rain early, so it might be a little bit slower. Another key ingredient, Jeff, as we know throughout the years, Pittsburgh, very athletic, going to move it around on the bases. And certainly press that catching staff and pitching combo to try to keep them at bay on the basis here. I lean as well. I just think Nova's the better pitcher. You're going to get a decent price under 150 in this one for a home opener. 2 tough losses. You talk about it facing some good pitching staff information there up in Boston. I would lean towards Pittsburgh. I know it's probably a square play, 74% of the tickets on Pittsburgh, but I would be leaning that way as well, the way we're taking
the problem I have here is it first of all, is just too rich for my blood. I don't want to lay 145. And B, if I'm going to lay 145, I do want it with a team that I think's going to hit. I would say this. I think the one piece of value that I would probably key in on, probably first 5 -1/2. But again, I kind of want to face that bullpen. Someone talking here, Sports at Balls, or somebody here, I don't know who it was. Money line, don't get greedy. Listen, dude, I don't bet anything over 140, and I'm okay with losing by the 1.5 run thing. Again, I'm not in this business to lose 140 plays. I'm just not going to do it. I'm trying to limit the amount of exposure I have as far as juice is concerned. Could they win by 1 run? Sure. But I'm in the feeling and thinking that they're going to score enough runs. I think they're going to hit that bullpen particularly hard. I think they're going to win this one going away. So I'll take a shot at limiting my juice as opposed to laying 145 with it. It's just kind of the way I think. I don't know if you kind of understand what I'm saying. But I want to limit the amount of juice I'm laying. I don't want to lay 145. Sorry.
Yeah, and again, this is one of those games that you might want to take a look at as well.
I can get 150 back on my money, plus 150. I mean,
yeah, no, and you're facing a bad team. If you're looking, it's very hard to look at baseball in the situational or even matchups there. Pittsburgh coming home for the home opener. They want to get a win. They're 0-2. Atlanta going on the road. They got a win. They picked it up. The pitching matchup is clearly in the favor of Pittsburgh, both starter to me and also with bullpen advantage. So not a bad one. I don't really bet run lines plus 1.5 or minus 1.5, but I can see your point of view. I like to stick to anything, again, less than that 150
If I'm going to bet the Pirates,
possible.
Donnie, here, I would put them in a parlay on a money line with another team. I'm just really not someone that wants to lay juice like that. Sorry.
No, I hear you. Let's get to the next game on the card, which, Jeff, close to home for us. Max Scherzer on the mound versus Vincent Velasquez. We all know, what Max Scherzer brings to the table. Over the past 5 years, we know what the Phillies bats bring to the table. And it's no surprise if you check out SBRodds.com. Minus 175, pretty much maybe minus 182 on Sportsbook across the board. Public, 83% of the tickets on Washington. And no real surprise in that one. A clear team that's headed for postseason. I know it's 3 games in. I'm just looking as an overall general view versus one team that just doesn't really know what they are. The good thing about Major League Baseball, Jeff, they let the Phillies and the Reds square off on opening day for a 3-game series so they can have a little bit of fun. Maybe each team gets a win, which they both did. The Reds went 2-1, Phillies went 1-2. But reality is going to set in pretty quick here. Vincent Velasquez struggled a little bit with the long ball last year. He's a power arm pitcher. It's going to be cold and windy. How he's going to set up in that regard. I know Max Scherzer is coming off of the I believe it was a fractured finger, a problem with his finger here. So it's going to be interesting how long they let him go. But Max Scherzer in the past versus the Phillies is pretty much gold. So I wouldn't touch this game just because it's minus 182 over under looking at 7. I know the wind is blowing out to right field. Not a game I'm really interested in playing, but I can't see how you would say, hey, I'm just going to fade the public and take the Phillies here. I just won't believe in that strategy.
Yeah, it's something where for me, when I see Max Scherzer against the Phillies, I would never in my right mind back the Phillies. I mean, you look at an 11 career starts against the Phillies, 7-1 with a 1.78 ERA, and what's astounding to me, and I had to look at this twice because it really was something that I couldn't believe. In 3 games, the Philadelphia Phillies have struck out 33 times.
And this is supposed to be a new improved lineup as well.
That's 11 times a game. Yeah. That's wow. I mean, against the Reds. We're not talking about you struck out that many times against the Nationals or someone like that. It was against the Reds.
Yeah, you literally, Jeff, faced a pitcher who is a rookie that is named Rookie, and you struggled.
Phillies have also lost 14 of 16 in Citizens Bank Park. They just don't play well. I know Jason Worth has great numbers against the Phillies. And you look at Velasquez, he had a good start to the year last year. I know he had a couple games where I think he struck out like 16 or something in one game, but you look at as the season went on, he was particularly vulnerable to the long ball. You look at the things you mentioned, short porch, small park, wind blowing out.
Yeah.
He gave up 1.44 home runs per 9 innings last year, which is not good as far as ratio. This would be another run line candidate for me. I mean, again, and I normally try to do maybe once every week where I pick 3 teams that I really think are good bets in the run line and parlay them together for a really nice price. But I'll tell you, the Phillies under 3 team total looks decent. You're going to have to lay a little juice, but I don't know. Again, early baseball, it's kind of getting through the minefields, but I'll tell you that -0.5 for the first 5 looks decent also at -120. I think Velasquez will be particularly vulnerable here in the first couple games. And we mentioned the weather conditions, the wind blowing out. It'd be a nice thing for the kids, the people, fans down there. But I saw some quotes. I mean, I saw people tweeting that they're not going to the game because it's too cold. So,
and it's another point of view in that both of these bullpens have struggled, albeit it's only been a couple games. Phillies ERA in the bullpen already 5.40, and Washington at 6 even. You're looking at a cold day. The Phillies again looking to protect their young arms. Are they going to stretch the kid out and go 7 innings? If you leave Washington with 3 or 4 at bats here against that bullpen with the wind blowing out to right field, that over-under at 7 seems a little bit short, even though you can say, hey, if they let Scherzer go 7 or 8 innings today, if he's dominating, Washington might put up that 7 itself today, Jeff.
Yeah, I think this is kind of a crooked game. I think this is like a 7-2, maybe 8-3 type of game. I just don't really have any reason to believe that the Phillies are going to get people out consistently this year. I mean, they don't do a lot for me. I don't think they're very good. I think their lineup's weak. And when you're trotting out Clay Buchholz and Jeremy Hellickson as your 1-2 starters, I mean, you have major issues.
Yeah. No, definitely. Let's keep it moving here.
And again, Donnie, one other thing. Yep. Nice story, Brock Stassi, but does he belong in major leagues? Really?
I don't know. They're going to put his dad on TV a lot, maybe get some tears, and the Phillies end up losing the game. It's just about par for what it is. And
it was the Reds. You struck out 33 times to the fucking Reds. Are you kidding?
That power lineup there, in the bullpen. But no, we're already conditioned for it. It's going to be a bad Philly season. A major market team, you want to have like a down year reload. I get it, but you want to have like 4 down years. That's just embarrassing.
What does this Terrell guy mean by this comment? I'm kind of trying to understand it.
What's that? One thing about Washington Phillies game, I think that Citizens Ballpark, when the weather is cold as it is today at 43 degrees, plays much smaller. I mean, it's really about the teams that you're looking at. The Phillies,
Yeah, I mean, the Nationals have played it. CBP plenty. I mean, I don't think they're not going to some new ballpark they've never been to before. Is that? I guess I'm not quite understanding what he means.
No, what he's saying is the ballpark plays smaller, meaning that the power numbers are not what they used to be. Well, when the Phillies used to line up through 05 to 2011, murderers row out there, they would bomb the ball out. They even had to move the fences back when they first opened Citizens Ballpark because you're hitting pop flies into the flower bed at 298 down the line. So they changed it, but you're a product of your environment. You're built to hit at Citizens Bank Ballpark, but the Phillies throw pop guns out there where, your leading hitter this year is going to have like 24 home runs. It's always going to play smaller. Put, a different lineup in there that can mash, and that ballpark will just explode like it did Coors East for the first decade that it was open.
He says cold air is dense to the bone trap. Yeah, look, dude. I mean,
that's what it always is. I mean, it's not, Arctic, but
10 degrees. I mean, it's near 50. I mean, I don't think it's going to be one big thing. I think they're going to be just fine. Vinny Velasquez is a known home run guy that gives up home runs. I mean, it's just how it is.
It's early on. But again, I don't think they'll stretch the starters out. So just dig into the Phillies bullpen. Maybe you'll see Adam Morgan out there again, just throwing up meatballs. That's just what the Phillies are this year. So we'll see.
Sure.
All right, let's get to a 4:00 start, Jeff. We're going to head out to the real Coors Field, I should say. We're going to have Ryu and Freeland starting, two lefties out there. What catches your eye right away? Welcome back to baseball, Colorado. The over-under sitting at 12 in this game versus two pitchers there. Not much action. One is a rookie. One guy hasn't pitched basically in a few years. Pretty cheap line here if you're looking at the LA Dodgers at -138. But again, going to Colorado, it's a completely different environment. But again, you're going to get a rookie pitcher in that one. Any early thoughts on taking a look at the Dodgers and the Rockies today, Jeff?
Yeah, one thing you are getting, though, is I'm not betting overs with Dodgers against lefties. I don't care where it is. I don't care if it's in the Panama Canal or in Siberia. I don't care where it is. I'm not betting them. I'll see what happens. I'll watch this game. I'm sure it'll be entertaining, but I don't care who it is until they prove consistently that they can hit left-handed pitching. I'm just not interested. Freeland is a kid who I feel like he's going to have some sort of excitement today. He's from the Denver area. He's a kid that stayed home. He went to Evansville University. They shout out to the Missouri Valley Conference, but he's going to be amped today. I mean, and he's facing a team that's not good against lefties. Ryu is kind of the issue for me here. What are you going to get from him? He was good. I mean, in his first production, but he hasn't pitched really. So I don't know. This is tough for me.
I see your point on that though, Jeff. Just this early in the season, getting a 12 over and under, just two pitchers that are a little bit, out of it's like a wait and see approach. I know it can be a pinball gallery out there, and it looks like the Dodgers trying everything they can to combat a left-handed pitcher. Having it looks like 8 of the 8 batters today will be batting from the right side, so they're going to try everything they can.
Here's how I look at 12.5 in baseball. Betting an over-under at 12 or 12.5, and I know it's Coors. First, it has to be a Coors. Second of all, I need both pitchers to be brutal. I need like Tyler Duffy against, Wiley Peralta or something. Those are the pitchers I need. I need, good weather conditions, preferably during the day, and teams that just mash.
Yeah, right. What's interesting about this cold streak, Jeff, going out there, 70 degrees. At Coors Field with the wind blowing out at 10 degrees. So that's an interesting one.
And look, I'm not saying the over won't come in. I just, you're really kind of playing with fire. It's like betting a big total in college basketball. If you have a 164 total, you really need everything to go right. And if you get 3 innings here, but you know what the problem is with Coors? I mean, I know one thing I did last year with Coors and high numbers.
Yep.
The unders in the first 5 were coming in, and then the bullpens would come in and just blow up.
No, we've seen that Coors Field explosion late innings. How many times you have a lead protected? You're heading, at 12 over under, and the game is 5-2 in the 7th, and you're still biting your nails because it's coming. I
mean, you can get under 7 on 5 dimes, -125. I mean, again, a lot of time here. We'll see. But
Conditions look optimal there, 2 score runs, but 2 pitchers that you're betting on, which you don't really have too much information on.
Yeah, but I think
I like when you agree that when the tomato cans get out in Pittsburgh, it's pretty fun.
I think I got to tell you, I feel like this Freeland kid will be okay. They need something to go right in their pitching rotation. Maybe it's him. I don't know. I just think for right now, with the inability of the Dodgers to hit lefties, no matter who it is, I still want to watch this game. I'm going to definitely watch it for sure. But just keep in mind going forward, the totals are already inflated. People love betting overs there.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe take a look at the first 5 staying under and banking on the bullpens to come in late in blood. So maybe a second half play too. So
yeah,
let's
head out 6:40 p.m. Big man, San Francisco and San Diego out at Petco. Matt Cain, who for some reason I keep thinking is 45 years old for how long he's been around, but he's only 32 years old. It always shocks me every time I look at that. Versus Luis Perdomo in this one. Again, 2 pitchers where you're looking at, big man, that haven't done much over the past. I mean, Matt Cain's been a straight-up tomato can with an ERA north of 5.5 the last 2 years. And Perdomo, 5.71. So one of these games, even though it's not technically a hitter's ballpark, you have 2 guys that are known for getting lit up. San Francisco's bullpen struggling, but the one thing you can fall back on if you say, Matt Cain, if you can't get San Diego out, what are you doing in the major leagues?
Yeah, it's a shame about Matt Cain. I mean, he's gotten progressively worse. I mean, he came into the league he was drafted in 2002, so he has been in the league for a long time. But you look at his career. I mean, it's gotten progressively worse. I mean, you look at 2012, he had an ERA of 2.79. You look at last year, ballooned up to 5.64. I know he's had some injuries, but I know for me, he was a guy that last year there were times he was just giving up runs left and right. Perdomo, an interesting story. He was a guy that I remember reading was in the independent league like 2 years ago, and he actually came in. It wasn't bad for them, but 2 teams I don't really have much interest in. I mean, I like the Giants when they have a good pitcher on the mound, and I can bet a first 5, but their bullpen's a mess. The Padres, who the hell knows? But yeah, I'm not betting them either. So
yeah, about to get our first pitch of a ball game here between the Atlanta Braves and the Pittsburgh Pirates. So we do have some action there. And again, I know there's a lot of people out there that do like golf. Looks like the winds have subsided a little bit from what I'm looking at there. So hopefully we get a good Masters finish as well.
I actually have something to say about that if I can quick.
Get on it.
Barstool earlier was talking about, and they seem like the only ones talking about this. You really think he injured his back falling down the stairs?
I was tweeting it out yesterday because the one thing, he doesn't get the benefit of the doubt anymore, Jeff, because he already had one of those, I'm going to go on suspension for cocaine. And, oh, by the way, before I release this, he's not going to go in the next couple tournaments to take some time away because he hurt himself on the jet ski. So he's not getting anything from me. And the one thing that's really interesting is, Jeff, if you've had, I mean, obviously with any injuries, especially a back, he goes to the golf course, putting around, he's on the range, everything looks good. And this is just a little bit mysterious where you're about to go over to tee off and you say, you know what, I can't do it. It's one of those things you figure where you would wake up at 8, 9 o'clock, you're at the range and you're just like, dude, I can't go. Everything surrounding it was just kind of mysterious the way it went down. And go ahead. Yep.
Yeah, it's either there's something behind the scenes that golf just said, you know what, we don't want this to get out that, right away. The Masters obviously is a very tradition thing, and we don't want to ruin it. So let's just make something up, get past it, and then we'll see. There's no possible way he fell downstairs. And I got to tell you, listen, I'm not in the best shape in the world. I know most of us aren't. I'm sure all of us could get healthier. We're talking about one of the most conditioned athletes in the world that's made it clear he's very conditioned. Do you know anyone other than like an 80-year-old woman that would hurt herself falling down the stairs? I mean, I've fallen down the stairs. Unless I'm like thrown down the stairs face first. I mean, really? I mean, this has got to – he had to be fucking Paulina Gretzky a weird way, and he threw his – something happened here. But I got to tell you, there's no possible way he fell down the stairs, and that's why he's not in the Masters. No way.
Another thing that you saw tweeted out quite a bit yesterday, which is, right up our alley with gambling. Doesn't matter what sport it is. If somebody's gambling on something, we're going to be interested. How about William Hill, Jeff? Dustin Johnson doesn't tee off, doesn't start the tournament. A future was taken on him, obviously, to win the Masters. He doesn't even play in it or, go through the first hole or even the first swing, and they took the money on that as opposed to the majority of casinos and wagering have given the money back there. Do you believe that a large casino like that, what is the point of doing that? Stealing money from the public who's always going to have a bad taste in their mouth and maybe not go back and use some other outlets there.
But the scumbag move by them, first of all. I mean,
and it was a big company, Jeff. This isn't like a fly by night on Twitter just stealing your money. A huge company.
Yeah, well, you know what? Leicester, they're still salty after that Leicester debacle where they paid out. They had to pay out all those big bets on Leicester City, so they're still particularly salty. But yeah, this is a scumbag move. I mean, I don't care who you are. I mean, you got to get the money back. The guy never played. He didn't, he didn't tee off. Scummy move.
Like, how could you not? Like, you see it on every baseball, bet you have on the majority of stuff, action if your pitcher plays. But it's the same thing. How about if we like to play today, Jeff? We're like, oh, my goodness, we're really going to focus in on Boston. We love the over in the Boston game. Squall comes up, snows on the field, 4 inches canceled. And you had the over, and they go, thanks for the money, Jeff. Appreciate it. You got to be – it's almost the same equivalent. I was flat out shocked when I saw a major casino doing that.
Isn't your goal as a sports book, whether you're online or in person, isn't your goal to attract business?
Yes, and integrity. That's you're just about making the payout, being integrity, providing a service, and it pays itself back in spades. Can you, like, the people? Let's just say, like, William Hill had that policy. Go, you know what? This is wrong. Like, I know we have it here, but this is one of the coldest things. He didn't, retire after 3 holes where you can say, you know what? He was in the tournament. You got to be kidding. I mean, I was just shocked just to end that topic on that, but it's a flat out embarrassment that a legitimate casino is even allowed to do that legally.
I agree, 100%.
Yep. All right, back to the bases, big man.
This is why some of them get bad looks.
That's why the gambling industry gets a bad rap for stuff, because that's what gets reported nationally, not the other guys that, bend the rules and say, hey, here's your money back. We'll pay it back. No big deal. This is what gets the national stuff saying this is why we can't have professional betting in the United States.
Exactly. Somebody was talking about earlier about a lot of people talking about fading Shelby Miller today. I'm going to tell you right now, and this is just my opinion. Shelby Miller had a bad year. We all know that. I mean, we all are well aware of it, but this is a guy that has had 4 really good years in Major League Baseball. I mentioned just had a tough year in general last year. Don't be so quick to think Shelby Miller is just going to throw in the towel. He's not a gas can. He's not a tomato can. That is absolutely ridiculous. Last year, he was poor. We can agree with it. I don't think he's a bad pitcher. I think he's a guy that will bounce back, and I just kind of want to make that clear. I think he's a good pitcher, a little bit of a resurgence, kind of that feeling. I think he's confident coming into the year, and I think he knows he's a really sharp guy. I just had a tough year last year.
Gotcha. Yankees coming to town in Baltimore today. Nice series setting up. Probably maybe the series of the weekend if you're looking for some maybe fireworks and just some star players. Severino versus Jimenez, who I changed his name from Ubaldo to Ubado Jimenez over the years. Severino coming in with 11 starts last year in 2016. Lit up like a Christmas tree, 5.83 ERA. With Jimenez, 25 starts, 5.44. One thing you can look at is, I don't know what the numbers officially state during the beginning of the season, but Baltimore and New York should have some pretty good bullpens throughout the season. But these 2 starters leave a lot to be desired in this one. Short line out there as well. Yankees minus 102, minus 108, depending on what you're looking at. Over, under, sitting there at 8.5. Not really too hard of a public side. Yankees pulling down 60% of the tickets, so not anything outlandish. But I've learned over the past couple of years that no matter what happens, it's really hard to back Jimenez.
Yeah. I mean, he walks people constantly. He has been decent in April for some time, but yeah, I mean, he gets progressively worse over the years, particularly in the summer months. He's really bad. It's weird with him. He's decent in the April and September, June, July, and August. He's awful. But Severino, I mean, he's had flashes and then he's looked really awful as well. I don't know. I don't like to bet against the Orioles at home. I wouldn't look to the Yankees here just because, right now I think they're going to have to ease into some of these these younger guys. It's going to take some time for them to kind of mature and get decent. I think the other night, Drew Martin made a great point on my show about you look at the Yankees now, and I never really thought of it, but you look at all the years of how many great catchers they've had in the years. Joe Girardi, Posada, Brian McCann, Cervelli, even for a lot of years. Even like a John Ryan Murphy, who's been a catcher for years in the majors. They don't have that anymore. And I know
Veteran presence. Yep.
Yeah, I know Gary Sanchez is a guy that, as far as a hitter, we really like, but we have to not undervalue the value of having a really good catcher. And that's one of the things that being a team that's reloading, that's what you have to do. And I think early on, even with a young pitcher here in Severino, I got to say, I'm not crazy about Jimenez, and I have to look at his career numbers against the Yankees, which I should have probably did. I haven't, though. Getting a number like this with the Baltimore Orioles at home, I would take a shot with it here. I'm not crazy about Jimenez, but if I had to pick a side, I would go with them here.
Yeah, how about if you take a look at something on the maybe first five in this one? One of the few things, or what we like to look at in the beginning of the season, is how bullpens set up and how bullpens start the season. You have about 9 innings combined, Jeff, between the Yankees and the Orioles with bullpen action, 0 ERA combined. So it's something that maybe these pitchers starting out just looking at, you say, hey, let's see if we can just get through, 5 innings, limit the damage. And both of these bullpens take over. They have horses on both sides. And you want to talk about people that are able to slam the door in the 9th inning if it's 3-2, you don't get a better game matchup than this one.
At 9, I kind of looked under. It was 9 open, but at 8.5 at this point, it's not a number I particularly like. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned these are probably 2 of the better bullpens in the majors. I mean, Baltimore's probably the best. So yeah, I mean, if you can get through that first 5 innings, with 2 or 3 runs, that game will probably stay under. But you're definitely towing the line betting unders with these two guys.
Yeah, it looks like that first half line, Jeff, if people are interested out there. 4.5 is the total on the over-under with that. So definitely might be some value there, seeing that 2 of these pitchers technically struggle overall. But again, your guess is as good as mine the way they're going to start the season today.
Yeah, and not for nothing, Terrell. I mean, it doesn't matter if it legalizes gambling is legal or not. It's the point of being a nice group and admitting when there's no action. I mean, it's just a scummy move. I mean,
yeah, equate it to going out to dinner, Jeff. You go to a nice steakhouse, you say, I want a steak that's medium well, and they cook it well and bring it to you, and they say, well, deal with it. You're not coming back there.
No. And it's a bad move by them because they've already. I mean, again, I get you made some stupid. It seems like their leadership over there is completely backwards. I don't know some of the stuff they're doing. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, I think they were also paying out Hillary Clinton bets early when they shouldn't have. I mean, they seem poorly run. I don't know who was the person that made this decision. I don't know if legalizing it or not fixes anything. I think what they're banking on is that they don't really they're not like a brick and mortar group that, do they even have a legit casino? I think
they're in the casinos, Jeff. They're the most, they have the most action in Las Vegas, I believe.
Right. So they're basically a square book is from what I heard. I mean, as far as they're the book that, they're kind of like the generic book, I guess. They're
take it up even another level, Jeff. So let's just say, Dustin Johnson, you took him as a future, whatever it would be. Does that mean if you had, let's just say, Rory McIlroy versus Dustin first round in just, straight up head to head, do you get paid automatically because Rory just started the round? I mean, it all can go flood into each other. It's just a horrible PR.
Yeah, but I don't understand how he said all bets action. There was no action.
No, but what they're saying is the minute you put because what they're doing, Jeff, is they're equating it to almost like a Major League Baseball total where you have no matter what happens, your team is going to be on the field. How can you do that with a guy who's a single entity is the problem.
I would never bet with William Hill. I would never bet with him in the future. And I think Sportsbook Review should do a story on this because this is something people need to know about. This is not good. And it's a scummy way of doing business. Big man, do you think Texas comes out pissed off against the A's? Yeah, look, dude, I just say dude just because that's how I talk. I don't think. Again, I'm going to put it politely. This whole they're going to come out pissed off stuff doesn't happen. I mean, unless you're a team that's embarrassed or something. These are professionals. It's such a long
It's a
season.
long
I
season.
mean,
You're
no,
right, man.
no,
Yep.
that whole momentum, emotion crap is just so tired and worn out. I'm sick of hearing it. It's stupid. It makes no sense. Look, is Texas pissed off they lost? Sure. But at the end of the day, do you think they went home unhappy? I mean, they're making millions of dollars at the end of the day, and that's the one thing you got to remember. Do I think they'll come out today and play well against Oakland? Sure. I mean, I think they're a better team than Oakland. I do kind of like A.J. Griffin. He was very good in points last year, and they're facing Alcantara, who is a young guy, doesn't have a particularly – and Oakland's a team I don't like to bet on the road.
On the road, you're right. Yep.
They're kind of sneaky at home, but on the road, they're not a team I'm looking to back. Again, I give them credit. They beat up on Ricky Nolasco and Tyler Skaggs, but you look at against Shoemaker and Richards, they weren't able to get the job done. I actually like AJ Griffin. I think he's a pretty good pitcher. I would bank on the fact that Texas wins this game, but that bullpen is tough to get excited about, honestly.
Yeah. No, it's true. If you look at both of those pitchers opening up 5 starts last year for Alcantara, 7.25 ERA, albeit limited. AJ Griffin, I mean, remember, before the injuries, I mean, the guy was a pretty good pitcher and has been around a while. Tough on the slate at about a 5 ERA last year, but he is a workhorse and he is at home. And again, you're exactly right on the Oakland A's. That sneaky team we always talk about at 10 o'clock start on the East Coast, out west in that ballpark that's going to get about 2,000 to 3,000 people, wind blowing out, extra wide foul lanes. They're pretty good in that environment. But again, getting out, I don't see how you bet too much on them. The interesting thing about that, Jeff, is it opened up AJ Griffin about 160 in that range, down to 133 in some spots. So it looks like some action coming in on Oakland. But again, it's early in the season. Teams are, favorites usually don't really dig in until later in the season when you know which team is actually really good and which team's in the dumpster. But again, Texas at home, I'm not looking to fade Texas, especially against Oakland. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, a good point made here on the chat. I don't like taking a team that's lost 3 in a row. Yeah, I agree. Again, they'll probably win at some point. And I think this is probably a spot they'll win. I do like them in this spot, but it's just so hard to get involved with them their bullpen is giving up, where are we at here? In basically 9 innings or so, they've given up 10 earned runs. I mean, you can't get much worse.
No, every time they take the field, they're giving up a run. That's amazing.
Yeah, sure. I would look to back Texas here. Maybe the over is a good bet. I think both teams will score runs in this game, but we'll see. Coming up a little bit later. Again, guys, the one thing about this show that's great is, we usually have some early games. We can get into them. But remember, a lot can change. It's 1:22 Eastern. This game doesn't go until 8 o'clock. You never know.
Yeah, take a look at some lineups, everything. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So again, I'll give out a play of the day here at the end, which we've done on this show and we started. We did have a winner the last time we were on the air with that soccer play, but I'll throw out a play that I really like here at the end. And it's kind of just about addressing. And that's a point I want to make, guys. I know, some of the shows are quick to throw out picks and stuff. For me, I try to give out great info. I don't know that it's not always about picks, Donnie, which you can agree with. A lot of the time, it's just about seeing things through another eye, fresh eyes or something like that. And
and we've been in this business a long time. You can tell it's a lot. Like you could give out, let's just say we go in an NFL where you have all week to study and give a 5-minute preview. It sounds legitimate and the play loses. But if you have somebody that just comes on and says, hey, I like Tom Brady, we're going to take the Patriots. Or if somebody has a complete breakdown, I always like the information better because it's not the way you actually got to the solution. It's the way you presented the information, which sometimes if I'm looking at a game in the same way you just brought up, Jeff, maybe you can bring some information to the table that I wasn't thinking out. Like, Tom Brady on the road, he hasn't covered his last 7 games or whatever it would be, as opposed to just looking at Tom Brady and the Patriots going to roll over somebody. I completely agree. I like the actual process than the actual end of the play itself.
Sure. And, I know most people are at work right now or doing their thing. Come in, get your picks, maybe listen to another, we're here. This is what we do. We're going to be on the air regardless. Come in, join us, say hello. And look, guys, tell your friends about SBR. Hit the subscribe button. Keep the lights on here at SBR. Obviously, here's the great thing about business. You got to make some money, right? You got to make money. You got to be profitable. And, there's a lot of good ways to, to help us out. Subscribe to the page, go to the odds screen, check out the book reviews, because as you can see, there are a lot of small things that go unnoticed in this industry, like the Dustin Johnson fiasco, that really turns people off about a book. So, get over, watch some of the videos Natalie puts out on book news and Sportsbook news, and really kind of don't be the guy that gets used, because look, I've been patched. Patched is a South Philadelphia word that we use. Patched means you got screwed and didn't get paid on something. I've been patched plenty, whether it's local bookmakers, scammy websites. Don't be the guy that gets patched. Learn from my mistakes, and make sure you do your research as you would do on anything. If you buy a car, you're not just going to go to the thing, look at that car and say, I want that one, give me it. You're going to do a little research on it. Anything you do, you buy a new air conditioner, you want to get through you want to do the research on it. Do the same thing with your sports book. Make sure you're getting the best book, you're getting the best bonus, because Donnie, wouldn't it be great? Mm-hmm. Isn't it great when you get a book and you put up 500 and they match half of it or something?
Yep. And then don't have the fine print that says you must roll it over 37 times in order to get that bonus play back. Yeah, I agree. It's all about keeping it legitimate. This whole entire business is about keeping it legitimate. There's a lot of fakes out there, sport-wise, tout-wise, information-wise. It's up for you to just decipher. And the more outlets we have, like the more live content that we can provide, maybe we could shed some light on some of those areas and save people some money.
Amen. Also, guys, look out tonight for the late night on campus. We'll be back as always, 10 o'clock Eastern, breaking down the day that was in sports, life, music, whatever. We're really going to be branching out as far as some of the things we're doing. We're going to get some cool guests on, and I'm not just talking about sports. We want to make it all about our lives, kind of the things that we do as people, and I have no problem talking about what do I think about this Syrian conflict. I mean, I have no problem talking about music or women. We do that. It's fun. It's a way to relax. Basically, we're all at a big bar and we're all talking about sports.
Yeah, it's like overtime on your day. Like, you just get home, your day's ending. You say, you know what can I blow off some steam off some stuff? And, we'll build that show and it'll get good. But again, right now we'll keep it 5 days a week. We're actually going to be live tonight and also on Saturday night. So if you have a pop and a beer, or you went out to the bar, you came home, check us out.
Yeah, for sure. Let's just do one or two more here, and then we'll wrap it up, Donnie. Yeah. Or are we ready to wrap it up now?
No, let's go. Let's pick two more. Actually, you know what? Throw it out to the people out there in the live chat. Any games today that we haven't gone over yet that you might want to pop in on? And I even see some soccer out there, big man. Play of the day, Frankfurt Moneyline. Did you take a look at any soccer today?
Yeah, Friday's not a particularly strong day in soccer as far as a lot of the leagues really get going Saturday, which I will be doing something later. Tune into the show tonight. I'll give out some plays tomorrow in EPL and some of the other leagues. Yeah, he's mentioning he likes Frankfurt against Werder Bremen. The interesting thing, Donnie, little clash in styles in that game. Werder Bremen has been scoring goals like crazy. Frankfurt, pretty decent side. They don't concede a lot. They're not a team that can particularly scores a ton of goals. I think they've scored one of the lowest amounts in the Bundesliga. So, definitely a clash in styles. Yeah, I see where he's going with that. I feel like what they'll do is just basically park the bus, Frankfurt, if they score and win 1-0. I don't know. I'm not going to be on anything in soccer today. I'll root you in for sure. I think at the price you got it, it's worth a play. But Werder is scoring a lot of goals right now, so keep that in mind. But I think it's a pretty good play. It should come in.
Yeah, look in there. We'll take one off the message board there. Dan Kellerman, Demick, Baltimore over New York. I would lean that way as well. What I actually would dip into a little bit more, we touched on it earlier, I'm going to lean on the over 4.5 through the first 5 innings as an okay play in that one. Again, I don't have any big ticket wagers that I have. If you watched the roundtable the other day, I really liked the under in Boston and Pittsburgh. That game was 0-0 heading into extra innings. But again, I didn't play any money on that game, just getting down to the meat. The skeleton of the game, just giving an overview. I would look as two pitchers that struggle early on, two lineups that tend to put up some runs before you dip into that bullpen. I could see a 3-2 game through 5 innings in that one. So I would lean towards over 4.5 in that Baltimore and Yankees game.
Okay.
Want to pick one out, big man, over there on the board?
Yeah, as far as for me, I'm going to go with what do I want to go with? I'm going to go with the game that I feel confident in. I think it's a good play. It's coming up here at 3 o'clock Eastern. I'm going to go with the Nationals on the run line. I think they're a team that is really going to win. I think they're the team that will get to the World Series from the National League. Scherzer has such good numbers against the Phillies, and after last night, I mean, I just don't see much end in sight for this team and the Phillies. I think they were very lucky to win the amount of games they won last year, particularly early on. They were extremely lucky with their bullpen. I don't think they're going to get as lucky this year. I think they're worse than they were last year, and I don't see them doing too much against the Washington Nationals. I'm going to go Washington -1.5.
I like it. You know, we got to do, big man, with a nice long summer. I mean, we're close to a couple ballparks, whether it be, you know, the Mets, the Yankees, the Phillies, the Orioles. You know, somewhere in this area, there's got to be some listeners that are around us. You know, maybe we can meet up at a ball game or something like that just to shoot it around. Because, I mean, you know, we talk sports like it's our job, which technically it is. But, you know, just to meet people out there and, you know, build the show one person at a time is what we like to say. We'll have some fun doing it. We have a long summer and hopefully a long career in this as well. So we'll have some fun.
Terrell, Phillies hit righties much better than lefty. Scherzer not 100%. So where did you get that news outlet from?
They don't. Scherzer, it doesn't matter who lines up with the Phillies.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen an outlet report that he wasn't 100%. What's your reasoning on saying that? Because I haven't seen that. Have you?
No, Max Scherzer just mows the Phillies down. That's just the MO. And do you see anybody? I mean, maybe Daniel Nava hits 2 home runs today. I mean, come on.
I mean, you have your opinion. I mean, good luck. Yeah. I'm not going to do it, though. So fade away. Again, I mean, fading me right now is not a bad idea. Last 5 days or so, I've not been very good, which is good because I really haven't had any premium plays. So, you know, I get it out of my system early here. Yeah, I mean, dude, I don't care about what spring training news said. I could care less if Max Scherzer was awful in spring training. It means nothing to me. I mean, Lance McCullers was awful in spring training too, and look at his performance. You got to remember, the Phillies are the Phillies. They're just not very good. He's owned them in his career. I'll take the fact that he's done that. We'll see how it goes. So, yeah, I think I do like your idea, though, about the games. You know, I know
that would be fun. Yeah. And by the way, Jeff, hey, how about next year in basketball season? Tell me and you will not be down at the Liacoris when Wichita comes to town now with the AAC.
Oh, I'm already working on tickets for that. Yes. I'm already working. We're working on Donnie and I getting season tickets to those games. So
yeah, somebody's got. Yeah, we have to make that happen where we go to a couple games and, you know, hook the listeners up with maybe a ticket or two with us to come along and have some fun and just shoot it and just show, like, you know, we're the same people that you see on the air, the same people off it. We love sports and we're going to get out there. But I love the move by Wichita going to the AAC. It just means I get to watch them live now.
Well, I think the writing was on the wall after Greg Marsh is just, I think, sick of getting beat around with not playing anyone. And, you know, it's a much better conference, clearly. But, you know, the MVC just continues to wallow in despair because, I mean, that conference is just getting crushed over the years with teams leaving. Advice of the day, Donnie. Here's your quote of the day from me, okay?
Go.
Many want to fly first class. I want to own the plane.
Is that from a movie quote that I missed?
No. It's something I saw.
I like it.
Something I saw on Twitter.
Man, put that on a t-shirt. Let's be millionaires.
Donnie, I have to – actually, no, we'll save it for tonight's show. I do want to talk a little bit about the news in general.
No, we'll save it for tonight. We got a lot. I'm coming up with a lot of topics. So is the big man again for tonight. Well, we'll go. If we go for a half hour, if we go for 2.5 hours, we have carte blanche. SBR is closed for the night, and we're going to be able to do it.
I do want everyone to come take a listen to what we're doing. We're having some fun. It's not – there's very little sports talk. We don't throw out free. There's not – it's just a way to have fun. This business is way too stuffy as far as feeling that you have to give out picks and stuff like that. You know, I'm working on, you know, some cool things. We spent some time, good bullet points, that kind of thing. I urge you, you know, tell your friends, you know, we're trying to build something with a show, and we've only recently started it, but it's fun. We have some fun. We're very, you know, attentive to the audience, and, you know, there you go. So.
Yep, we'll get busy. We'll be back tonight with the late night on campus. Both me and the big man will come. That's 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday. Check out at SBR Sports Picks. Give them a follow. Also subscribe to them on the YouTube link, SBRodds.com. As you see when we talk about the games, that's where we review those out. Powered by uwager.eu. And again, me and Jeff will be on later tonight. Leave with something, Jeff, before we get out of here, buddy.
Yeah, play of the day for me in the show. We're going to go with Washington Nationals -1.5 on the run line. Nice start to the game for the Detroit Tigers. First batter. First hit. Maybe Stephen Wright gets hit early. We'll see how that goes. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we appreciate you. We'll be back later, 10 o'clock Eastern, with the late night on campus. Have a great night.